Everdeen, and today I'm going to share with you how to crochet this fishnet top. For this project I'm using size 4 yarn from the brand Red Heart. It is 100% acrylic, and if you are curious to know where you could get yarn like mine, I will have my Amazon affiliate links in the description box below so you could purchase the yarn through there. I'm also using a size 5mm hook, and for this project I just decided to go with plain white yarn, but of course you can use whatever color yarn you want and whatever make you want as well. If you want it to be 100% cotton instead of 100% acrylic like mine, go for it. Doesn't matter, still the same exact steps. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is grab our yarn and our hook, and we're going to make a slip knot. Now if you are a complete beginner to crochet, I do have a Crocheting for Beginners video linked in the description box below that will show you how to make a slip knot, show you how to hold a hook, and pretty much all the basics that you need to know in order to learn how to crochet. So yes, check out the description box below if you're a complete beginner. Watch that first and then come back to this video. So after you create your slip knot, you're going to chain a chain that is long enough to wrap around your entire top part of your torso, preferably the largest part of your chest, and that's going to look like this. So from here to here, and we want it to be the largest part of your chest because this is going to be a solid top in a sense. Obviously we're using fishnet, so it's not actually going to, be covered, but meaning that there's no lace up back or anything like most of my other crochet tops. It's all just one solid piece. So you want to make sure that this top will be large enough to fit around the biggest part of your body. So make this chain long enough so that it can wrap around the largest part of your body. Otherwise you will not be able to put it on and take it off. So I've gone ahead and finished my chain, and it's a total of 115 chains. I probably could have stopped at 110, but I decided to chain 5 more just to make sure it's not too snug. And I would suggest that you add a couple chains as well, just in case. Just if like it barely meets, I feel like it would be a bit too snug. So if you wrap it around your body and then it kind of overlaps for a couple of stitches, I think that's perfect, but totally up to you. So from here, this is our base, our chain is our base, and now we're going to start making the actual stitches, the fishnet stitches. And to make that, all it is 5 chains. So from here, we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to go back on the chain that we started on and slip stitch into it. And if you're unfamiliar with a slip stitch, it is through the stitch, yarn over or yarn under. Sometimes I yarn over, sometimes I yarn under, but I don't see a difference. It's still the same stitch. And then go through the stitch and then back through the last loop. Oh, don't worry, I will explain it yet again. And that is going to be our first loop for our fishnet stitch. So what I did again is I chained 5, then I went back into that first stitch, I slip stitched into it, and then I went to the stitch next to that one and I slip stitched into that one as well. So from here, we're going to continue on with the fishnet by chaining 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to skip a stitch, go into this stitch instead with a slip stitch, and that's through the stitch, yarn over again or yarn under, go through the stitch, and then with that same loop on your hook, go through the last loop on your hook. And that's what a slip stitch is. And again, we're going to go into the stitch next to this and also slip stitch. So through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, and also through the last loop on your hook. Then from here, we're going to make the next loop or the next fishnet stitch by chaining 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, and then slip stitch. And again, into the next stitch, slip stitch, through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch and also through that last loop left on your hook. Then from here, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip a stitch, go into that next stitch, slip stitch, then go into the stitch after that, also slip stitch, and from here, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip a stitch, go into that next stitch, make a slip stitch, then go into the next stitch after that, another slip stitch, and then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip a stitch, go into that next stitch, slip stitch into it, then go into the next stitch after that, slip stitch into it, then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip a stitch, go into that next stitch, slip stitch, then go into the next stitch again, and slip stitch into that one as well, and then repeat the pattern. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip a stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch, and continue with that pattern until you go all along your chain and reach the end. And once I'm at the end, I'll go ahead and meet you there. But this is what the project should look like so far. And yeah, that's pretty much all you need to do. Just continue with that all the way to the end, and then I'll show you what to do once you reach the end. Okay, so I have completed my row of fishnet stitches. I went all along the chain to the very, very end, and this is what the project looks like so far, with again one row of the fishnet stitches. Now, this is just all one long chain right now, but we want to make this into a circular project, so it could be a top. And you could do this part at the very end, but I like to do it at the very beginning if I already know that it's going to be a circular project, just so I could work on it as a circular project instead of a linear one and then have to combine the edges at the end. I just pretty much do it right now. So essentially you're going to grab your two ends, you're going to line them up so that they're, you know, facing the right way. And then you're just going to slip stitch into the two sides, like so, and voila, they are now attached to one another, and now this is a circular project. So now we could just build upon this, go around and around and around and around, and then not have to worry about attaching them at the very end. The other option, if you didn't want to do this step right now, we would continue it just being one long project and then make it kind of like a square, and then we would fold it and then we would attach it with a slip stitch all the way up and down. But again, instead of that option, I decided to attach at the very beginning so that it's a little bit more seamless when we create the rest of the project. Because when you wait till the end to attach it, you could see the line where you attached it, whereas if you did it in the beginning, it's more seamless. So yep, that's my little explanation as to what I did. But again, if you would rather do it the other way, totally up to you. So yeah, now that it's nice and attached, we're going to build upon this row of fishnet stitches by creating another row of fishnet stitches on top of the previous row. So from here, I'm going to chain my 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the previous row's fishnet stitch. Then I'm going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to again slip stitch into the previous row's fishnet stitch. Just go right through the opening in the center right there, and then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go into the next fishnet stitch and slip stitch into it, then chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then slip stitch into the next fishnet stitch, and so on and so forth. So now your project should look something like this. So build another row of fishnet stitches on top of the previous row of fishnet stitches and go all around and all around and all around. That's essentially what we're going to do for the rest of the project, but don't worry, I'll go ahead and show you my progress so you have an idea of what it should look like as you continue to work on it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go into the next fishnet stitch and slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go into the next fishnet stitch and slip stitch, and so on and so forth. And this is what my project looks like now that I've completed the second row of fishnet stitches. So this is what the progress is so far, just 2 rows of the fishnet stitch. And now I have come to the point where we attach the 2 together, and now I'm just seamlessly going to start the next row by continuing that pattern of 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then reaching on over to the next fishnet stitch and slip stitching into it, then chaining 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then going into the next fishnet stitch and slip stitching into it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains, going into the next fishnet stitch and slip stitching into it. And that's going to be my 3rd row of fishnet stitches. And again, you're just going to go around and around and around and around. But yeah, once you reach the point where you attach the 2 together, you're just going to keep on going, keep on going. And sooner or later, you're not even going to be able to tell at what point you attach the 2 together, because it's going to be so seamless. But yeah, again, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go into the next fishnet stitch and slip stitch into the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains, go into the next fishnet stitch and slip stitch into the middle, chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, go into the next fishnet stitch and slip stitch into the middle. And yeah, just keep on going and going and going. I'll probably check in with you after a few more rows so you can see a bit more of the progress. Okay, so just checking in. This is what the project looks like after a few more rows. Let's see how many rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? Only 5 rows? No way, let me recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, I was counting them wrong. Yeah, so this is what it looks like after only 9 rows. So clearly it's not going to actually cover anything at this point. It pretty much just covers like the top of your chest, not even like your breast part, just the top of your chest. And then again, as we keep on going, then it's going to be able to cover more and more. And this is where you decide how long you want your top to be. If you want it really long to hit your hips, then you just continue on. If you want it more of a crop top like mine, then you're just going to stop around where your belly button is. But yeah, all you have to do to make it longer or shorter is decide on how many rows you're going to make. So if you want it shorter, make less rows. If you want it longer, make more rows. So we're just going to continue on with the pattern here. So now that I've slip stitched into that previous row's fishnet stitch, I'm going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to slip stitch into the next fishnet stitch and just go around and around and around the entire project until it gets longer and longer and longer. Okay, now I'm about 17 rows in, and this is what the project looks like so far. And this is what it looks like when I try it on. So again, not really there, a little bit more than halfway there since I am doing a crop top, and a little bit less than halfway there if I was doing a full top where it would like cover to my hips. But yeah, and you could totally track your progress like this too. Just try it on and see where it fits you, and once you're happy with the fit, then you can move on to the next step, which is also the last step, which is just to make the strap. So yeah, so far the pattern for how to make this top is very easy, but again, just very time consuming because it takes a while to actually make all of these fishnet stitches. But yeah, so from here on, just continue doing what you're doing. you make those 5 chains, and then once you've made the 5 chains, you slip stitch into the next fishnet stitch, and then just continue on with the same thing over and over again, going around and around and around and around. So next time I see you, I will be done with this portion of the project. So again, I'm making a crop top, so if you want yours to cover more of your body, then you just make it longer. You just keep going with the pattern, and then you try it on and you're happy with the length of it. If mine looks too small, that's again because it's a crop top, and also I am short. I have a small torso, so that's why my projects typically look really short and really small, because not only is it a crop top, but I'm also just small and short as it is. So this is what my project looks like. So yours might look a little bit different if you want it longer, but pretty much it's going to look similar to this. And once you're happy with the length of your top, then you could go ahead and cut the yarn from the yarn ball. Then put your hook through the last loop, grab that excess yarn and bring it through that last loop, then give it a tug, and then you could cut off the excess yarn or tuck it in, whatever you want to. I will do that later. And now we're going to do the straps, which is super easy. So you're going to figure out where you want the straps. So you can just try it on and then figure out where you want the straps. I'm going to put mine here and here. And all I'm going to do is grab my yarn and then put my hook through the stitch where I want the strap to go. And then I'm going to put the yarn on the hook, bring it through that stitch, and then I'm just going to create a chain from there. And I'm not sure how many chains I need to make for this. Again, I need to try it on and then figure out how many chains I'm going to make for my project. And then you could do the same for your project, but I'll let you know how many chains I make for mine just as a reference. So I went ahead and made 55 chains. I tried on the top and confirmed that this length works for me. So after I have made my chain, I'm going to align the top so that I could put the strap where I want it to go, which is directly in the back. So it's going to be the front, and then it's just going to go over my shoulder and then hit the back. So I figure out what stitch is even, and then I put my hook through that stitch and then slip stitch. And voila, I now have a strap for my top. Woo! And you can leave it at that, or you can make the strap a little bit thicker. I like to make the strap a little bit thicker because I think straps that are just a chain are a little bit too thin, and then they kind of dig into your skin. So I'm going to slip stitch into the stitch next to where I attached the strap in the back, and I'm going to do 1 row of slip stitch on the chain, just to make the chain a little bit thicker without making it too wide, because I do still want it to be like a dainty strap, but not too flimsy or thin so that it is weak or digs into my skin. So again, all I'm doing is going back on the chain that I created with a slip stitch. And then once I get to the end, I'm going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball and seal the project by bringing the excess yarn through the last loop. And then I'm going to reattach it to the other side and do the exact same thing so that I have 2 straps. But yeah, here is the difference between the strap with the row of slip stitch and then the regular just chain for a strap. So it's still thin enough to be like a dainty strap, but not too thin where it's like flimsy and then the chain's gonna like dig into your skin. It being a little bit thicker is a little bit more comfortable in my opinion, so that's why I do this, but you don't have to. Your straps could just be chains if you want to, but again, that's how I made the straps for this top, and you're just gonna do the same thing but twice. And after you're done crocheting your 2 straps, your project should look something like this. So the base of the top followed by the 2 straps, which consist of a chain and then going back on that chain with a slip stitch if you want to make it a little bit thicker, more comfortable, and then cutting the yarn from the yarn ball, sealing the project, and then doing the exact same thing on the other side so that you have 2 straps to support your top. And after that, then you are completely done with the project, and now you can rock this crop top. So yeah, that's basically how you can make your very own crochet fishnet crop top. Very simple, just a little bit time consuming, but as long as you know some of the basic stitches, then you got this. And yeah, if you love crochet and crochet tutorials, I have a ton of crochet videos on my channel. Tutorials ranging from beginner friendly to more advanced. And I also have like crochet idea videos. I also have crochet with me type of videos where they're not necessarily tutorials, but like I still kind of show you how I did it so you have an idea of how I make it. And how I style crochet tops and all my crochet projects. So just a lot of crochet videos in general. If you love that, then go ahead and visit the rest of my channel. Check out my other videos as well. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video either interesting, entertaining, or helpful. And if you did, please give it a big thumbs up before you go. And also don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye! And have a magical day.
These days, under the sun together. These days, let's make them last forever. These days, let's hope they last forever.